Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī. This is the conclusion. Because avijja gives rise to sankhara, and so on, there is the arising of this whole mass of suffering. Avijja is suffering, sankhara is suffering, and vijnana, namarupa, salayatana, phasa, vedana, tanha, upadana, kama bhava, jati, and jaramarana soka parideva dukkhato upayasa are all suffering too. All of these, this whole mass, is suffering. There is no being here. There is only a group of 5 aggregates. We call these 5 aggregates dukkha. Why do we call them dukkha? Because these 5 aggregates are subject to impermanence. That's why we call them dukkha. There's just dukkha, just suffering, that arises. Dukkha exists, and dukkha disappears. What do we see? Just dukkha, just suffering. There is just arising, upada, continuation, piti, and dissolution, bhanga. This is suffering. It's a whole mass of suffering. There's no person, no being, no entity. Just suffering arising. 5 aggregates. All this suffering arise. The suffering exists, and the suffering disappears. We've been studying this since avijja. What is avijja? Moha, right? Moha arises and disappears. Then sankhara arises and disappears. This goes on, one after another. All of these phenomena are subject to impermanence. This is why we call it dukkha. Even tanha, craving, can be called dukkha. This is because it's also subject to impermanence. It arises, exists, and then disappears. It's dukkha. This whole mass of suffering can be called the 5 aggregates. But how can we call them the 5 aggregates? How about avijja? What kind of aggregate is this? We already know the 5 aggregates, right? They are corporeal realities, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. So what's avijja? You should know this. What's its reality? Moha, right? Moha is a cetasika, mental factor. That's sankhara, which is an aggregate, khandha, right? So avijja is sankhara khandha. What about sankhara, volition? This is also sankhara khandha. Vijnana is vijnana khandha. How about namarupa? Nama is a cetasika, mental factor, so it could be vedana khandha, sanya khandha, or sankhara khandha. There are those 3 cetasika aggregates, right? And rupa is rupa khandha. 133 Las Vegas Sayadaw. What about salayatana, 6 sense bases? Those are a part of rupa khandha and vijnana khandha. Manayatanam is the last of the 6 sense bases, right? It's consciousness, so it's part of vijnana khandha. And how about phasa? Phasa is sankharamanda. Vedana is vedana khandha. Tanha, that's lobha, right? So it's sankhara khandha. And upadana? There are 2 of these, right? Lobha and ditthi, right? These are both sankhara khandha. Kamabhava is cetana, which is sankhara khandha. Jati, the arising of these 5 aggregates, is mind and matter. See? What are they? They are just the 5 aggregates. Now we've learned about direct dependent origination. We still need to talk about reverse dependent origination. But I think we'll start talking about that next time. For the remainder of today, I'd like to continue talking about other aspects of dependent origination. We have 4 aspects to this law of dependent origination. What are they? 1. Identity. 2. Diversity. 3. The absence of effort. 4. Regularity. When it comes to the relevancy of cause to effect, we have these 4 aspects, or 4 methods. Now, having studied the law of dependent origination, we will briefly look at these 4 methods. Identity. Identity refers to the individual character of psychophysical process. Among all living beings, some have 1 aggregate, some have 4, and some have 5. There is just mind and matter. All phenomena, from avijja, sankhara, and vijnana, are just arising and disappearing. After avijja, ignorance arises and disappears. Sankhara arises. After sankhara arises and disappears, vijnana arises. What unfolds is an unbroken stream of mind and matter. It keeps continuing. You see that, right? Because avidya arises and disappears, 134 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī sankhara arises and disappears, one after another. This is our life cycle. It continues in an unbroken stream. This isn't just something occurring in this present life. Avidya pachaya sankhara, right? Avidya and sankhara belong to the past, don't they? Vijnana, namarupa, salayatana, phasa, vedana, tanha, upadana, and kammabhava belong to the present, and jati and jaramarana belong to the future. Three existences, right? This namarupa process comprises three successive existences in an unbroken stream. See that? Because of avidya and sankhara in the past, vijnana and so on arise in the present. And because of clinging, craving, and action in this present life, in the future we'll have jati and jaramarana again. This unbroken stream of mind and matter flows from one life to another as cause and effect. This is called the method of identity. It doesn't stop, right? It's an unbroken stream. It keeps going on, one after another. Diversity means that the doctrine distinguishes between different phenomena. What do I mean? I mean that although we see that all phenomena just arise and disappear one after another in an unbroken stream, there are different phenomena with different causes and different effects. They have different natures. Let's look at avidya and sankhara. Avidya is ignorance and sankhara is kama formation. Their natures are different, right? Also, avidya is the cause of sankhara. Sankhara is the result of avidya. It's cause and effect, right? Sankhara, in turn, becomes the cause of vijnana. Vijnana is the result of sankhara. They have differing causes and effects. They have different natures. The natures of avidya, sankhara, and vijnana are different. Although they arise and disappear one after another, their natures, their causes, and their effects are different. Let's look at this in comparison to the first one, identity. Because we see that every mind and matter, every phenomena, is just arising and disappearing non-stop, we can eliminate the wrong view of annihilation. How? Some people say, after we die, life is over. There's nothing more after that. 135 Las Vegas, Sayadaw. This is a view of annihilation. But now we see that, if in this present life we have craving and clinging, it will become action. Thus in the future we'll have jati and jaramarana. We see that our life will not end. Therefore we eliminate the view of annihilation. We no longer have this wrong view. Before we studied dependent origination, perhaps we believed in annihilation. But now we know better. Okay, so how about this second one? Diversity. Even though we continue to see that these phenomena are just arising and disappearing one after another, we see that their natures, their causes, and their effects are different. If they weren't different, we might conclude that our previous mind and body from the last life transferred into this present life. Thus, we are the same person. But we can't say that, can we? We're not the same person, right? The phenomena differ. They have differing causes and differing effects. Now, we can eliminate the wrong view called eternalism. These phenomena are different, right? Because of sankhara, there arises vijnana. We can see the difference. Sankhara is one thing, and vijnana is another thing. They have a connection as cause and effect, but their natures differ. They have different causes and different effects. So, what's the cause of avidya? Sabai. How about the cause of sankhara? Avidya. The cause of vijnana? Sankhara. The causes of phenomena are different, right? What's the result of avidya? Sankhara. What's the cause of vejana? Phasa. See the difference? The absence of effort among mind and matter, all these phenomena, none of them follow someone's desire, right? This is what is meant by the absence of effort. They don't follow the will or desire of you or any super being. They occur according to what? Their nature, as cause and effect. You cannot manage these phenomena. Even if you want a pleasant Vedana to last long, you can't force it to do so. You can't control it. After all, where's feeling come from? Phassa. Phassa pakaya Vedana, right? As such, Vedana does not follow your desire or anyone else's. These phenomena arise according to their cause. Although I'm calling this the absence of effort, some people characterize this as uninterested. In other words, these phenomena are 136 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo Hotī, not concerned with your desire or anyone else's desire. They arise according to their nature and their cause. You understand this, right? When we see that every phenomenon arises dependent upon its nature, and that it arises without connection to anyone's desire, then we can eliminate the wrong view that some superbeing made it arise. We will no longer hold this type of belief. These phenomena don't depend on anyone, nor do they follow anyone's power or desire. They arise in line with their nature. Regularity. This means that the format of dependent origination is the one-to-one correspondence between cause and effect. It means that these phenomena have their own cause. Avidya can't be the cause of feeling, right? Avidya is the cause of sankhara. That is the relevant effect. Regularity has nothing to do with irrelevant effect, because these phenomena have their proper cause and their proper effect. This is their nature. This is the law of dependent origination. As I said, avidya cannot become the cause of Vedana, and so on. The only cause of Vedana is phassa. And what's the effect of Vedana? Tanha. See? Relevant cause and relevant effect. If someone claims there's no cause, no kama, we know from studying dependent origination that this is not correct. The truth is that every phenomenon, everything, has a cause. To claim that there's no cause is called ahetuka ditthi, or the wrong view of uncausedness, no cause. When we study dependent origination, we get rid of this wrong view. We also know about our life. We know that it's not just this life. There is now, was the past, and will be the future. In the commentaries, the commentator wrote that 4 kinds of things are very hard to see and very difficult to teach. As he described them, the truth, being, rebirth linking, and the structure of conditions are 4 things that are very hard to see and likewise difficult to teach. How are they difficult to see? 137, Las Vegas Sayadaw the truth. Well, with regard to the truth, let's look at the 4 noble truths. Suffering and the cause of suffering may not be so difficult to see, right? But suffering isn't just limited to painfulness as suffering. Everyone, even an animal, understands this kind of suffering. How about suffering due to formation or suffering in change? Why do we say that every phenomenon arising and disappearing is suffering? It's very hard to see these things, isn't it? It's also very hard to teach people, except for meditators. Only meditators understand this. What's the cause of suffering? Some people cry out, "I suffer so much because of him." They blame others for their suffering, right? This is because they don't understand the cause of suffering. But when we study dependent origination, we know the cause. What's the cause of sorrow, lamentation, and so on? We know. What's the cause of aging and death? We know that it's cause and effect. But normal people find it very hard to even see suffering and the cause of suffering. Especially difficult to see is the cessation of suffering, or nibbana. It's very hard to see, right? What's nibbana? No craving, no delusion, no rebirth, no decay, no disease, no death. It's the extinguishing of all kinds of suffering. It's the extinguishing of all kinds of clinging. It's very hard to see and very difficult to get people to understand these things. What is the way leading to the cessation of suffering? This is the Noble Eightfold Path, right? Although cessation is very, very hard to see and explain, the path is difficult too. This is why the commentator said that the noble truths are very hard to see and very difficult to explain to others. Being in these 31 planes of existence, there are many different types of beings. We already studied this. We call them beings according to conventional usage. We might also use words like man or woman. But what are beings, really? Mind and matter. That's it, they're just a psychophysical process, right? It's very hard to see this and difficult to explain to someone what it means to be a mind and matter process. Where do mind and matter come from? According to our good or bad karma in the previous life, it gave results in this life, and we thus became the beings that we are. But what kind of karma was it? It may be 138 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī. Difficult to explain this stuff, right? Why are some beings animals while others are ghosts or humans? Why are beings different colors? Rebirth linking. Rebirth linking refers to taking conception. When rebirth takes place, how is our mind and matter from the last life transferred to the present life as rebirth consciousness arises? It's very hard for normal people to see this. How does a person die and become a human being again? There's a connection, right? The old body might already be cremated or buried, yet how does the person become a human again? A person might have a difficult time considering the workings of what they perceive as a soul, too. This subject is very hard to explain, but, fortunately for us, we study the law of dependent origination, and therefore know where we come from, and why we do. It's cause and effect. We have come to learn that avijja pachaya sankhara and sankhara pachaya vijnanam. This is how rebirth consciousness takes place. This is the link between the past life and this present life, right? Then, because karma bhava pachaya jati, there will be a future life. This is because jati arises after there is craving, clinging, and karma formation. We see cause and effect, but normal people don't understand how rebirth takes place. Some beings have only mind, while others have only body. Still others have mind and body. Where does this all start from? It's very difficult to see rebirth linking, isn't it? The structure of conditions. This refers to dependent origination. It's how avijja and sankhara are connected as cause and effect. It's how sankhara and vijnana go from one to another, from life to life, and so on. This is very hard to see and very difficult to teach. Those who learn a little bit of this discourse will start to understand. But it's really not about learning from a book or from a teacher. You learn from your practice of meditation. Then, when it's perfected, you will escape beyond the vision of the King of Death. What this means is that after you study and you practice to perfection, you will escape from death. You will gain enlightenment step by step until you reach the fourth stage and become an arahant. An arahant escapes beyond the vision of the King of Death. He will not be 139 Las Vegas Sayadaw reborn again. And if there's no more rebirth, then there's no more decay or physical death. The life cycle is finished. This is why we have to learn, study, and practice. Then, we will realize. Q. How did the Buddha discover this? Good question. The Buddha discovered the truth as he practiced meditation, and gained enlightenment, and became an arahant by himself. An arahant can't gain that level by oneself. He needs a teacher. But the Buddha was a sammasambuddho, a self-enlightened one. An arahant, in contrast, isn't self-learned. He had to listen and then practice before becoming an arahant. When the Buddha became a Buddha, he not only eradicated his mental defilements, but he also eradicated all of his bad habits from past lives. Arahants can't eradicate old habits. I'll give you an example from one of the old stories about the Buddha's chief disciple, Sariputta. He was an arahant. Only the Buddha himself possessed more intelligence and wisdom than Sariputta. Sariputta had been a monkey in a past life, many, many lives earlier. When he became an arahant, his last life, he would sometimes walk somewhere and encounter a streamlet that needed to be crossed. Normally, we might just make a big step to get across something like this, but Sariputta would jump over it. Why? It was a habit from his previous life as a monkey. Like a monkey, he would jump across small streams of water. He could not eradicate that old habit. I'll tell you the whole story. For 3 months each year during the Vassa, the rainy season retreat, monks stay in one village and focus on their meditation practice. One day, Sariputta decided to leave his abode and go to pay respect to the Buddha. One of his nephews had ordained as a novice and followed Sariputta as his devotee with the intention to donate 3 robes to him. The 3 robes include an underrobe, the main robe, like you see me wearing now, and a big robe that goes over the shoulder. Anyhow, the nephew was carrying these robes as he followed Sariputta on his way to pay respect to the Buddha. As they approached a small streamlet, Sariputta lifted his lower robe to keep it dry and jumped over the water. 140 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī. His nephew thought, "Oh, this monk shouldn't jump like a monkey. I don't want to offer 3 robes to anyone who behaves like that. I'll just give him 2 of these robes." The nephew experienced a loss of faith. Right? Respect was lacking. Thus, he decided that 2 robes were enough of a gift. They continued walking until they encountered another streamlet, at which time Sariputta jumped again. The nephew thought, "Although he's my uncle, I can't respect this monk. I'll just offer him 1 robe when we get to the temple. He doesn't even deserve 2 robes." Again, a lack of respect. They kept going. Again, they encountered water. As they did, the nephew thought, "If he jumps like he did before, I won't even offer him this final robe." This time, though, Sariputta just stepped over the water like we might do. Surprised, the nephew said, "Venerable sir, why didn't you jump over the water like you did before?" The arahant replied, "If I jump again, I might lose all of my new robes." Sariputta could read his nephew's mind. He knew his thoughts, right? The nephew said, "Please forgive me." He then offered Sariputta all 3 robes. I'll share another story. This one is very interesting. There was an arahant who'd been a Brahmin in a past life. Brahmin are usually high class, but this Brahmin had looked down on people. One day, the arahant saw a man and called out, "Foolish man, come here." That wasn't polite, right? Normally, an arahant would refer to a gentleman as brother, or perhaps friend. Instead, he said, "Foolish man." Another day, the arahant saw a gentleman loading some products onto a wagon as he prepared to go to the market to sell them. The monk said to him, "Foolish man, what is that?" When the gentleman heard the way the monk had referred to him, he became angry and replied in a sarcastic way that suggested that his product contained rat droppings that he intended to sell. With that said, the gentleman continued to the market. When the gentleman tried to sell his products to the buyers at the market, the products were full of rat droppings. He realized, "Oh, my 141 Las Vegas say dog goodness, the monk must have done this. I must have offended him." He then went to the monk to apologize and ask for forgiveness. As he did, his products returned to their original condition. These stories illustrate that even an arahant cannot eradicate previous life habits. The Buddha, however, was able to eradicate all of his previous habits, as well as his defilements. Hopefully these stories help us understand the differences between a Buddha and an arahant. Time's up for today. Thank you for coming. Today is the 18th of July, 1999. This may be the last class for this year. For today, I would like to review what we've studied so far. We've studied avidya pachaya sankhara, and so on. Now, I would like you to know their realities. This is a review, right? What's the reality of avidya? Moha. Don't forget this. It's moha cetasika. Moha cetasika will associate with the 12 types of unwholesome consciousness. This is avidya. Avidya pachaya sankhara. What's the reality of sankhara? You already know this. There is formation of merit, formation of demerit, and formation of imperturbable. The reality of sankhara is katana in 29 types of consciousness. If we're talking about formation of merit, that's satana in the 8 types of great wholesome consciousness, or the 5 types of form sphere wholesome consciousness. For formation of demerit, it's satana in the 12 types of unwholesome consciousness. And for formation of imperturbable, it's satana in the 4 types of formless sphere wholesome consciousness. Altogether, that's 29 types of consciousness. Satana in these 29 types of consciousness is sankhara. Sankhara pachaya vijñānam. What about vijñāna? The reality is 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. Normally, there are 36 types, but here it just takes these 32 types. This is the reality of vijñāna. Vijñāna, pachaya, namarupam. What about the realities of nama? It's cetasika, mental factors. In this case, it is mental factors that associate with the 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. As for rupa, the reality is rupa born of kama and rupa born of kita. Nama rupa pachaya salayatanam. Salayatana is the 6 ayatana. We have eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose sensitivity, tongue sensitivity, body sensitivity, and mind. Right? So what's the reality of 142 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī kakayatana, eye base, eye sensitivity? What's the reality of sotayatana, ear base, ear sensitivity, ganayatana, nose base, nose sensitivity, jivhayatana, tongue base, tongue sensitivity, kayatana, body base, body sensitivity? What about mind? Sometimes it takes 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, and sometimes it takes al-el-sita. We're talking about maniyatana, mind base. According to the Siddhanta, it takes 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, and it takes al-sita according to Abhidhamma. Salayatana pataya phaso. Phasa is phasa cetasika. It will associate with 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. This is exactly what phasa is here. Phasa pachaya vedana. The reality of vedana is vedana cetasika. This mental factor will associate with these 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. Vedana pachaya tanha. Tanha is craving, lobha, right? This lobha cetasika will associate with the 8 types of lobha mula chitta. Tanha pachaya upadana. This is clinging. We have 4 kinds of clinging, right? However, they have just 2 realities. What are they? Lobha and ditthi. Lobha cetasika will associate with the 8 types of lobha mula chitta. Koi, ditthi is wrong view, right? Yes, we have kamupadana, dithupadana, and so on. We studied the 4 types, but their realities are only 2, lobha cetasika and ditthi cetasika. Upadana pachaya bhavo. Bhava has 2 meanings. One is kama bhava and the other is upapatti bhava. The reality of kama bhava is the same 29 types of consciousness as sankhara, and upapatti bhava is existence, right? The reality of upapatti bhava is precisely the 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, the 35 cetasika, that associate with these 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, and rupa, born of kama. Bhava pachaya jati. What is jati? Jati is just the arising of 5 aggregates. But here, it is precisely taking the 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, the 35 cetasika, that associate with these vipaka-sita, and rupa, born of kama. How about jara? This is the aging of these 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness, and 35 cetasika. This one is very easy, right? So, jakaiti, jara, and marana. Do you remember the 3 instances of upada, titi, and bhanga? Jati is the arising of the 32 types of mundane 143 Las Vegas Sayadaw resultant consciousness, the 35 katasika that associate with these vipaka chitta, and rupa born of kama. Jara means decay, or thiti. Upada, thiti, and bhanga, right? So what is thiti? Presence, or continuing. That's why I say that jara is the aging of the 32 types of vipaka chitta, the 35 associating sedasika, and rupa too, and marana is bhanga, right? Bhanga is the dissolution of the 32 types of vipaka chitta, the 35 associating sedasika, and the rupa. Okay, how about soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, and upayasa? Soka is sorrow. Sorrow is vedana. Specifically, it's Vedana associating with dosa mula citta. Vedana can associate with all types of consciousness, right? But here, we're only talking about Vedana associating with dosa mula citta. That is what Sukha is. When someone says, I feel sorry about that, what kind of Vedana is it? Domanassa Vedana, right? Thus, the reality of Sukha is Vedana associating with dosa mula citta. What about Parideva? Q. The same? No, this is lamentation. Lamentation is crying or sobbing. This is not normal sobbing, though. It's not normal because your mind is not normal. You feel very upset, so you cry. The sound of crying is parideva. It comes from your mind. It comes from dosa. It's sada, just sound. Parideva is just sound. You hear someone crying, right? You hear this sound. The sound is saddha, but where does saddha come from? From dosa. It's not from piti, right? So please remember that parideva is sound, which is one kind of rupa. When we studied the 28 kinds of rupa, we learned about saddha rupa. This is what parideva is. It is produced by dosa. And how about dukkha? This is pain. Pain is vedana. Its reality is vedana associating with dukkha sahagata kaya vijnana. Remember that one. It's one of the 18 types of rootless consciousness. Domanassa. What's this? Grief. Domanassa is vedana associating with dosa mula citta. And lastly, upayasa. This is agony or despair. Its reality is not vedana. Instead, it is dosa katasika, associating with dosa mula citta. 144 Evam'etassa Kevalassa Dukkhakkhandhassa Samudayo Hotī upayasa is different from Sukha and Domanassa, isn't it? We understand why because we have now learned the realities of all the factors of dependent origination. When we study dependent origination, we need to know about the 3 periods, 12 factors, 20 modes, 3 connections, 4 divisions, 3 rounds, 2 roots and 2 life cycles. We've already touched upon much of this, but I'm now pointing out what they're often referred to. The 3 periods. Let's look at the 3 periods. When studying dependent origination, we learn about 3 periods. This refers to the past, the present, and the future. So, avijja pakaya sankhara. Dependent on ignorance, there arises kama formation. Sankhara pachaya vijnanam. Because of kama formation, there arises rebirth consciousness. Avidya and sankhara belong to the past, right? They belong to the previous life. So when we divide into 3 periods, these are the past. 1. Avidya. 2. Sankhara. I'm explaining about the 3 periods. We can also call them the 3 times, or the 3 dimensions. We also have jati and jaramarana. Bhavapachaya jati, because there is craving, clinging, and becoming in this present life. We have to be reborn again in a future life. Jati. And with jati, there is jaramarana. As such, these are the future. 1. Jati. 2. Jaramarana. See that, right? So avijja and sankhara belong to the past life, and jati and jaramarana belong to the future life. The remaining, or intermediate 8 factors, belong to the present. This is very clear. In this present life, we have rebirth consciousness. Then, we have mind and matter, 6 sense bases, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, and action. Therefore, these 8 factors belong to the present. 145, Las Vegas Sayadaw, 1, Vijnana 2, Namarupa 3, Salayatanam 4, Phasa 5, Vedana 6, Tanha 7, Upadana 8, Bhava. These are the 3 periods in dependent origination. The 12 factors. We have 12 factors or 12 links. What are they? 1. Avidya 2, Sankhara 3, Vijnana 4, Namarupa 5, Salayatanam 6, Phasa 7, Vedana 8, Tanha 9, Upadana 10, Bhava 11, Jati 12, Jaramarana. These are the 12 links, factors, in dependent origination. We've been studying these 12 factors for about 3 months now, right? Just 12 factors. The 20 modes. We have 5 past causes, 5 present results, 5 present causes, and 5 future results. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. These are the 20 modes. What are the 5 past causes? With avijja and sankhara as past conditions, causes, what do we get in the present? Vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. For this reason, avijja and sankhara are 146, Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī, 2 past causes. But by taking avijja and sankhara, tanha, upadana, and kamabhava are also taken. Why are they taken? As we have avijja, and as it doesn't understand the truth, craving arises. They go together like close friends, right? Because you don't know the truth, you want something. This is craving. When craving arises, it becomes bigger and grows up to become clinging. And when craving and clinging arise, you have to do something to satisfy this desire. Can you see how in the previous life, it wasn't just avijja and sankhara? We take these two as past causes, so we also have to take craving, clinging, and action as causes. For this reason, these are the 5 past causes. 1. Avijja 2, sankhara 3, tanha 4, upadana 5, kamabhava. Someone might ask you where they came from. Why do we have 5 aggregates? Why do we come to this present life? What's the cause? This is the cause. These 5 past causes. It is because of avijja, sankhara, tanha, upadana, and kamabhava. See that, right? There are 5 present results or effects. What are they? Let's start with vijnana. Because of avijja, sankhara, tanha, upadana, and kamabhava as past causes. In this present life, we have vijnana. Then, there arise namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. These arise as the results of avijja, sankhara, tanha, upadana, and kamabhava. Thus, these are the 5 present results. 1. Vijnana. 2. Namarupa 3. Salayatanam 4. Phassa 5. Vedana. It's just cause and effect. Previously, we studied these factors one by one, didn't we? We saw that with ignorance as a cause, we get kama formation as a result. 147 Las Vegas Sayadaw. We also saw that with kama formation as a cause, we get rebirth consciousness as a result. Now, though, we're putting these causes and effects into groups. By doing so, we can see that past life to present life and present life to future life is just cause and effect. So this present life has 5 results: vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. Next, what about present causes? These are causes in this present life. When we started again, these are tanha, craving, upadana, clinging, and kamabhava, action. These are present causes. But we can also call them future causes. See, these aren't just present causes. They are also future causes. These 3 will cause the future existence, so we also call them future causes. When we take craving, clinging, and action, we also have to take avijja and sankhara. Why? Think about their nature. You're craving for something. Why? Because you're ignorant and don't know the truth. For that reason, when you take craving, clinging, and action, you also take ignorance and kama formation. This means that there are 5 present causes. 1. Tanha. 2. Upadana. 3. Kamabhava. 4. Avijja. 5. Sankhara. These present causes arise in this present life, but as I said, we can also call them future causes because they will produce a future result. And what about future results or future effects? How many do we have? Jati, upapatti bhava, and jati are the same existence, right? So there's jati and jatamarana. What is rebirth? It's just the arising of 5 aggregates. When you have jati, you also have jatamarana. These 3 are upada, arising, thiti, continuing, and bhanga, dissolution. So even though we call it jati, we are really talking about vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. They are the same. When jati takes place, In other words, when we are reborn into another existence, what's rebirth consciousness? Vijnana, right? And when you have vijnana, there's also namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. Therefore, these are the 5 future results. 1. Vijnana, 148, Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo Hotī 2, Namarupa 3, Salayatanam 4, Phassa 5, Vedana. In short, we can call these 5 by the term jati. They are the same. They are future results. Why do we say these 5 arise in the future? Because of present causes or future causes. Because of tanha, upadana, kamabhava, avidya, and sankhara. So, in the previous life, we have 5 past causes. In this present life, we get 5 present results. In this present life, 5 present causes will arise. As we have 5 present or future causes, in a future life we will have jati, vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana again. It's just cause and effect. Because of past causes, we get present results. Because of present causes, we get future results. These are the 20 modes. 5 past causes, 5 present results, 5 present causes, and 5 future results. The 3 connections. Let's start with sankhara pachaya vijnanam. Sankhara belongs to the past, and vijnana belongs to the present. Between the past life and the present life is one connection. See that? Between sankhara and vijnana is one connection. We can also say that between the past causes and the present results is one connection. We can talk about these things by group or individually, right? It depends on how we want to frame it. The second connection is Vedana Pachaya, tanha. Vedana belongs to the present, and tanha belongs to the present. 3 periods, right? During this present life, there is one connection between Vedana and tanha. If we use our meditation practice and maintain awareness of this space, Vedana cannot become tanha. Otherwise, Vedana becomes tanha. For that reason, this is a very important point. So Vedana Pachaya tanha. In this present life, there is one connection between Vedana and tanha. This is our life cycle. Although we say the connection is Vedana and tanha, we can also say that the connection is between present results and present causes. Every day, we have contact with objects via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, 149 Las Vegas Sayadaw body, and mind. When we do, Vedana arises. Vedana can give rise to tanha. So, between Vedana and tanha is one connection. Said another way, there is a connection between present results and present causes. The third connection is kamabhava pachaya jati, dependent on action. In the future, we will have rebirth. The 5 aggregates will arise. Kamabhava belongs to the present, and jati belongs to the future, so the connection is between this present life and the future life. This connection is between kamabhava and jati. We can also say that it's between the present causes and future results. So these are the 3 connections. 1 between sankhara and vijnana, 2 between vedana and tanha, 3 between kamabhava and jati, the 4 divisions. We can also call this the 4 groups of layers. These 4 divisions are groups. What are they? 1. Past causes. 2. Present results. 3. Present causes. 4. Future results. So we have these 4 divisions as groups. See that? If we talk about them in terms of modes, we say that there are 5 past causes, 5 present results, and so on. Now we're talking about them in terms of 4 groups, or 4 divisions. The 3 rounds. The 3 rounds are the round of passion, the round of kama, and the round of effects. What factors belong to the round of passion? Passion is kilesa, defilement. We have 10 kinds of defilement, which we've already studied. What kilesa do we see here? Avijja. What's the reality of avijja? Moha. Moha is a part of passion, right? So moha is avijja, and avijja belongs to the round of passion. Okay, that's one factor. How about another? 150 Evam'etassa, Kevalassa, Dukkhakkhandhassa, Samudayo, Hotī sankhara, katana, is not passion, right? Vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa and vedana are not passion either. What about tanha? What is its reality? Lobha cetasika. This is a kilesa. What about upadana? That's lobha and ditthi. Those are also kilesa. Kamabhava is ketana. Only avijja, tanha, and upadana belong to the round of passion. See that, right? The round of passion. 1. Avijja 2. Tanha 3. Upadana. When we have mental defilements, passion, we do something. Kama will arise. What's kama in this context? It's the round of kama. Kama is cetana, volition, and cetana is kama. The reality of sankhara is cetana. Therefore, sankhara belongs to the round of kama. Kama bhava is cetana too. These two belong to the round of kama. 1. Sankhara. 2. Kama bhava. Because of avijja, sankhara arises. Because of tanha and upadana, kama bhava arises. It arises as cause and effect. Passion is the cause, and kama is the result. Why do we do something, say something, or think something? Why does kama arise? Because there is avijja, tanha, and upadana. So the round of passion is the cause, and the round of kama is the effect. Cause and effect. Our life cycle is a round. Passion becomes kama, and then kama becomes effect. So what are effects? As we have passion, mental defilements, we will do something. Kama will arise. What's the first kama? Sankhara pachaya vijnanam. Here, because of sankhara, there arises vijnana, namarupa, salayatanam, phassa, and vedana. This is past and present, right? What about present and future? Because of tanha and upadana, kama bhava arises. And because of kama bhava, jati and jaramarana are effects in the future. So how many belong to the round of effects, vipaka? 151 Las Vegas Sayadaw Vijnana, Namarupa, Salayatanam, Phassa, and Vedana are present effects, and Upapati Bhava, Jati, and Jaramarana also arise. This is the round of effects. 1. Vijnana 2, Namarupa 3, Salayatanam 4, Phassa 5, Vedana 6, Upapati Bhava 7, Jati 8, Jaramarana. Those are the 3 rounds. If we talk about them in detail, there's a lot to say. We can use examples to help us understand it better. You might want something, right? Why? Because you don't know that you'll suffer if you get it. This is avijja. Due to your lack of understanding, there's craving and clinging. This is the round of passion. Q. Can we also call it desire? Yes, it's tanha. It's desire for sensual pleasure. They are the same. And when we have desire, this craving leads us to do something to satisfy the desire. What do we call this? Kama bhava, or cetana. This is the round of kama, and when we have kama bhava, we'll get future results. See? Just cause and effect. That's it. Passion becomes kama. Kama becomes effect. From effect, there will arise passion, and from passion, it continues. Right? It keeps going around and around. The 2 roots. What are the 2 roots? Among 12 factors, there are 2 roots. In our life cycle, we have 2 roots. These are the 2 roots. 1. Avijja, ignorance. 2. Tanha, craving. 152 Evam'etassa Kevalassa Dukkhakkhandhassa Samudayo Hotī. Because of avijja and tanha, our life cycle keeps going on. It goes on like a circle because of these 2 roots. They are like our parents. The 2 life cycles. These are the 2 life cycles. 1. Interior life cycle. 2. Posterior life cycle. Interior life cycle starts with avijja. This is the first one, right? The interior life cycle begins with avijja and ends with vedana. Avijja pachaya sankhara. Avijja is the one main cause, right? It becomes sankhara. Because of sankhara, there is vijnana. Vijnana becomes namarupa. Namarupa becomes salayatana. Salayatana becomes phassa. And phassa becomes vedana. It stops at vedana. This is why I say that the interior life cycle begins with avijja and ends with vedana. We can call this a life cycle. From where does our present life start? Tanha. The posterior life cycle begins with craving. It ends with death. When you have tanha, it becomes upadana, which becomes kamabhava, which becomes jati, which leads to jara and marana. See that? These are the two life cycles. Whose life? Our life. So now we know about the realities, and we know about the 3 periods, the 12 factors, and so on. Now we go to reverse-dependent origination. 153.